Hey, night owl, good evening. Since sleep escapes you tonight, I'll take you on a journey across time back to the distant brilliance of the Ming Dynasty. If this story relaxed you in any way, consider liking, sharing, or subscribing to our channel. Let us become a recurring presence in your nights, as familiar as a dream. Now let the lights dim. Let your room slip into gentle darkness. Pull the covers over yourself. Feel their softness enveloping your body. Deep breath. Close your eyes. It's time to slip into a dream, stretching back over 1,000 years. You awaken again in your bedchamber, nestled in the eastern sixth palace of the Forbidden City. You are still a mid-ranking consort, surrounded by silks, gems, delicacies, and bowing servants. Before you can move, the heavy bell tolls twice. Once again, the emperor is dead. The same senior eunuch arrives, expression unreadable, speaking the same 4 words. The time has come. You follow. The corridors remain unchanged. The same women stand motionless, the same suffocating weight of ceremony. It feels as though you're reliving a dream or a nightmare until something shifts. Your name is not called. Then everything begins to change. You are not honored with silk. You are not offered poisoned wine. You think you have survived, but soon you realize survival is not salvation. For imperial widows in the palace, if not sentenced to the honored sacrifice as a gift to the late emperor, there is another fate, one with no blood, no banquet, no glory, a fate that was, in its own way, worse than death. The cold palace. You realize you have probably roused the fury of someone now wielding power. Their hatred for you runs so deep, they refuse to grant you a swift, merciful end. Instead, they wish to devise your punishment meticulously and cruelly, so that the pain unfolds slowly, day after day. Let's make something clear. The cold palace was never a specific location, nor marked by a carved plaque. It meant a sentence. Any courtyard, any chamber, any wing could become a cold palace if imperial favor is withdrawn. A palace stripped forever of servants, luxuries, and recognition. A social erasure. Punishment wrapped in silence. Exile hidden in plain sight. Just like that, you get to keep the beautifully embroidered silk robe you are wearing at the moment. You also get to keep the glamorous jewels in your hair, at your ears, on your neck, and your fingers. But that's all, nothing more. You do not pack. You cannot resist. You are simply escorted out, marched down the empty streets of the vast forbidden city. One after one, you walk past different palaces, palaces that belong to the new emperor, the new empress, the emperor dowager, the imperial dowagers, palaces once assigned to you, but now reassigned to the future imperial consorts. You have always known that the forbidden city is large enough to house hundreds of thousands. And during those lonely days when you weren't summoned to serve the emperor, you have taken similar long walks through its palaces, passing mile upon mile of red walls. But today, right now, this walk feels endless, as though you are striding toward the world's end, even though you have never seen the actual world that lies beyond these red walls. At last, you arrive, perhaps at the very edge of the forbidden city. You pause as the eunuch leading you clears his throat, his voice gentle yet high-pitched, like distant bells in a vaulted hall. Here we are. He stops and steps aside, his face an unreadable mask. Without hesitation, 2 guards, stationed at the weathered palace gate, sweeps open the ancient doors, their hinges groaning under decades of disuse. With a brief, authoritative gesture, the guards beckon you forward. The moment you cross the threshold, the heavy portal shuts behind you with a deep, echoing thud. Then, a firm click. You are inside. The world outside, with its sunlit courtyards and rustling leaves, vanishes in the hush that follows. This palace room, apparently your new assigned space, might once have been beautiful, still carrying a faint trace of sandalwood. But now, its windows crack, its paint peels, its brazier barely warms against the wind. You are now officially and irreversibly invisible. Your food is rationed. You are given no maids. You brush your own hair. You made your own bed. You sweep your own floors. You wash your own clothes. You have nothing else to do, nowhere to go, no one to speak to. This, historians agree, indeed, everyone agrees, was a non-lethal execution that became the most lethal as time dragged on. A cursed palace where hope goes to die. A life sentence without crime, without trial, without record, without appeal. All because you were beautiful, and once chosen and favored by a powerful man. You lived this way for years or decades. You vanished from every ledger, erased as if you never existed. There are stories, half-truths, rumors of women who go mad, who dress themselves in scraps of former glory, who whisper to shadows and await a summons that never came. And then There are the stories that were recorded, preserved not for the woman's sake, but for the origin of an emperor. Consort Wang, for instance. She was a low-ranking palace maid when accidentally chosen to serve the drunken Wanli emperor of the Ming dynasty. Then she became pregnant and later gave birth to the first son of the Wanli emperor, just when everyone thought she was such a fortunate sparrow, turning phoenix under the embrace of dragons. The Wanli emperor deemed her unworthy, a lowly servant with no rank and powerful family background, could have never been in no position of carrying the honor of being the birth mother of his first son, let alone her pregnancy has also made his drunken mistakes into public humiliation. So, he granted her a title as a hollow reward for being the vessel of imperial blood, then locked her away in a hidden palace at the edge of the city, heavily guarded, forbidden from mention. Consort Wang remained in that cold palace, alone, for over 3 decades. After she gave birth, her infant son was reassigned immediately to a higher-ranking consort, Consort Li. The child had grew to be the dynasty's crown prince, and eventually had become the next emperor, Emperor Mingxi. But until his death, he never knew the truth of his birth mother. No one dared risk revealing it. For who could guess whether he would see it as pity and relief, or as humiliation, like his father? So, Consort Wang stayed a prisoner. Her name went unrecorded until long after Emperor Mingxi's passing. This record reveals a heartless fact. Survival in the palace is always an uncertainty, especially for women, and most of all, for widows. Even if you are not sacrificed for honor, even if you are not exiled to the cold palace, without a son to defend you, well, willing or able to defend you, shall we say, the imperial court might choose yet another path for you, a holy one. You are selected to become a woman of devotion, sent to an imperial temple or nunnery to live out your days in prayer. Because once you have belonged to the most powerful man in the empire, you can never belong to any other. This decree arrives in the same calm tone used to announce the other sentence. This time, you live too, until you are forgotten. You are not alone in madness and emptiness, guarded in corner, forbidden to be mentioned. You are not executed, so your soul can continue to serve the late emperor, praised as honorable. You're told this is a blessing. You're told this is an act of kindness. You and dozens like you are gathered, your soft silken robes replaced with coarse garments of plain weave, your belongings the jewels in your hair, the necklace, the rings, even the embroidery shoes on your feet, and that pair of tiny jade earrings, once worn by your mother, passed down from your grandmother, placed on your ears by your mother herself just before you were sent to the palace, your only comforting, tangible reminders of a home you haven't seen in years, now all confiscated to the court. A monastics devoted to Buddhism, residing within the sacred halls of the imperial temple, must never harbor attachment to any worldly possessions. And worldly possessions, even the symbols of your beauty, femininity, identity, your hair, must be surrendered. The eunuch's hands are soft, efficient, cold, unhesitating. One by one, you are shaved. Your tears fall freely like rain discharged to the floor, yet you dare not make a sound, because then your tear will be taken as farewell to these possessions, but not resistance to the holy path chosen for you, because you know how easy that path could be altered into death. You live, but you feel like you are no longer part of this world. Kneeling upon the locks of your own shorn hair, you bow before the new emperor, the emperor dowager, and the empire for one last time. Then a final gift granted from the court, a new name, a Buddhism name, replacing your own. Some receive names that mean purity, others silence, others peace. From this moment on, it is official. You are no longer an imperial consort. You are no longer a second, third, or fourth wife. You are no longer a daughter. You are no longer a woman. You are no one. You're escorted to the edge of the city. It's the first time you've been allowed beyond these meticulously arranged red walls since you were chosen to serve in the court. Yet, you find yourself led into another compound that is just as carefully ordered, tucked amid whispering pines or perched atop craggy ridges, its symmetry concealed by mountain tops. You stand within the imperial temple, its high stone walls painted in white and a light share of gray. The walls rise solemn and steep, encircling golden halls supported by pillars the color of blood. Incense coils upward, twisting through shafts of light as if seeking the heavens. At the heart of this sacred enclosure, there is no dragon throne. Instead, 3 large golden Buddhas sit in tranquil majesty. Their smiles are timeless. Their gaze, steadfast and knowing, cuts through your reddened eyes, through your fractured soul. This is your life now, marginally better than exile in the cold palaces, for you have fellow nuns to converse with, yet a life bound by austere doctrines, each day governed by gentle but unyielding rules of humble devotion, nothing more. A life with day begin before sunrise, a life with secret tears night after night. Hours melt into hours of chanting sutras, your body locked in one rhythmic position, praying for the dynasty's peace, even as your heart longs for serenity, to still the relentless ache, to taste a proper meal again, beyond the daily monotony of bland vegetarian gruel, to the faces of your missing family who still linger in your heart and live now under watchful eyes, monitored to ensure you never escape the path they chose for you, to be remembered as more than a shadow. Your life becomes an endless cycle of incense and silence, of offerings and aching bones, and yet you endure because you must. Anthropologists today regard this practice clearly. In a feudal age governed by stern Confucian orthodoxy, the exile of palace women to nunneries was one of the few bloodless and richly efficient ways to remove them from the court. By doing so, the state saved vast fortunes that would otherwise be spent on their maintenance, all while preserving imperial secrets and avoiding scandals. Yet this exile did more than merely expel. It transformed. In a society steeped in ritual and superstition, these women became unwitting spiritual laborers, reciting sutras for blessings over the dynasty, making offerings to imperial ancestors, praying for the healing of courtiers. In the absence of modern medicine or bureaucracy, such spiritual tasks were woven into the very fabric of governance. Over the dynasties, practices such as the honored sacrifice or the cold palace sentence waxed and waned depending on the ruler's temperament or political climate. But this quiet, austere exile, cloaked as benevolence, sustained without emotion, remained a common thread across nearly every era of ancient China's feudal rule. And yet, among these forgotten walls, one story refuses to stay buried. Wu Zetian of the Great Tang Dynasty. At 14, she entered the Tang court as a junior-ranking concubine, intelligent, charming, unforgettable to Emperor Taizong, already in his 40s. In a time without modern medical knowledges, when life expectancy hovered between 40 and 50, Emperor Taizong dies at 51. Wu Zetian had just reached 24. Like many childless and beautiful concubines before her, she was sent to a Buddhist convent. Her possessions were confiscated, her hair shaved, her name stripped away. For almost anyone, that would be the end of the story. But Wu Zetian was not like anyone. She foresaw this fate while Emperor Taizong still lived, and wove a meticulous, dangerous plan. She seized every opportunity that she could have had to imperceptibly imprint her lingering presence to the son of the emperor, her son-in-laws, Li Jie the heir to the throne, biding her time like a shadow in his memory. When Liji finally ascended as emperor, he could no longer resist his desire of this woman who once had belonged of his father, who he once could not have had. Under the guise of hosting imperial prayers, he began to visit Wu Zetian in the imperial temple, and eventually, as the most powerful man in the realm at the time, he brought her back into the palace, flouting all feudal norms, and made her his consort. A former emperor's concubine was never meant to serve another, least of all his son. But customs govern the common, and emperors govern customs. Wu Zetian saw through this, twisted it, seizes it, and she returned. But she didn't stop at just returning to the court and being another disposable lover to another emperor. She continued to rise, conquered with her wit and will. First, she dethroned the empress and claimed that place for her fall. Then, when Emperor Liji died early to a chronic diseases, she dethroned her own son, the spoiled crowned heir of the throne. And she claimed the throne herself, became the first and only female emperor in Chinese history. Her name becomes legend, an inspiration, a warning, a story we will unfold in detail in future for you to relive in your dream. But now, you just need to know that Wu Zetian proved it possible to rise from silence and exile into unmatched power. But you are not Wu Zetian. Hundreds of thousands of women have shared her sentence. Only one shattered it. The existence of Wu Zetian terrified rulers who followed, so they tightened the noose around women like you. Your schooling narrowed. You were taught to believe yourself lesser, property made, defined by the service to man. Every book, every lesson, tightly assigned. You know, you cannot be Wu Zetian. And they, the men who carved the throne, know another Wu Zetian will never rise. Now what if you are not sacrificed, you are not imprisoned, you are not cloistered? Instead, they give you a task, a duty that binds you not just to the memory, but to his body, his coffin, literally and intimately. Yet another sentence under the name of devotion. You are to join a sacred community of guarding the emperor's tomb. You are relocated to a distant, desolate valley, jolting in a carriage for months, far from the capital, far from the palace walls, far from the noise and theater of court. This is sacred land, handpicked by the imperial feng shui masters for its perfect balance of earth and spirit. Thousands of acres cleared of villages, fields, and all common life, guarded like a fortress, but silent as a shrine. Think of Tian Shan Mountain, once a flat plain, Now a man-made mountain rising from nothing. At the mountain's heart, the subterranean palaces, the underground forbidden cities, where emperors sleep in death as they once ruled in life. Streets, gates, towers, sacrificial halls, built not for the living, but for legacy. And outside the sacred wall, you live. A plain stone courtyard, stark, functional, your new home. Here, with the other consorts, those who served before you, and those who came with you, you form a small community, strange and quiet at first, like a living cemetery. Here, you are no longer concubines, no title, no ranking, no delicacy, no servants, just women, common in appearance, but never entirely free, watched by guards, watched, perhaps, by the emperor's ghost. But yet, you breathe easier. You wear linen, not brocade. You cook your own rice. You grow a small garden, eggplants, melon, tomato. You raise goats, piglets, rabbits, and chickens, maybe a lost cat. You smile sometimes. You forget just a little. There are strict daily rituals to keep, of course. You rise before the sun, light incense, prepare offerings of wine, buns, and dishes, recite the mantras, pray, bow, repeat. But this world is gentler than the one you left behind. No more wars fought with painted faces and poisonous smiles. No more scrambling for one man's fleeting attention. No more terror of exile or execution whispered in the silk-lined corridors. Here you began to share stories and memories of each other's distanced families, childhood. You braid each other's hair. You remember your mothers, your hometowns, your first crushes. You are not rivals anymore. You are sisters in the afterworld of power. You begin to find something like peace. The days pass. The loneliness softens. Aging no longer feels like a slow disappearance, but a quiet unfolding. But even in this stillness, pain finds you. In the deep corners of your heart, it wakes you like a sudden winter wind, a sting, a memory, a name. You still miss them so much. Your parents, your siblings, the world that forgot you or had to pretend to. Once in a great while, a letter arrives. Your younger sister is married now. Your older brother has a child, a baby girl. They send you her belly band, red with luck and embroidered with your name. You press it to your face. It smells like a life you never got to live. And maybe, just maybe, If illness doesn't take you, if you remain obedient and invisible, after 20 years of faithful service to a man long dead, they will finally let you go home. An old woman now, no beauty to rival, no longer a vessel for heirs, no longer a threat of the betrayal over a dead man. You return to your home with silver hair from the incense smoke and a back slightly bent from years of bowing and praying. You can fall into the arms of your parents again, if they still live, or kneel to their graves. You can light incense for your grandparents, those who adored you when you were a child and died waiting to see you again. And maybe in that moment, you finally get to cry in a way you haven't allowed yourself to for decades, because at last you are no longer part of the Emperor's eternity. You are simply yourself. After so many years of devotion to the imperial name, years that carved hollows in your body and silences in your heart, you, at least, secure honor for your family. The life was bitter for you, but its rewards flow outward. Your elder brother, once an obscure official, rises to prominence, appointed as a good-ranking minister, his seal and rank gleaming in court. When he sees you, he bows, even though, says the elders, never need to bow to the younger, especially when your royal identity has already been left in the past, at least to you. But he bows, formally and with deep gratitude and respect, because he knows it is your sacrifice that lifted the family's name. Yes, in the long, austere years of hardship, the question sometimes burns in you. Why did he never speak for you? Why did he not beg the emperor, the dowager, the court to release you sooner? But in the quiet of your heart, you understand. He could not. He dared not. For your family's survival, he had to side with the new emperor. He must prove loyalty above kinship. He must show that even love for a sister cannot outweigh devotion to the throne. Only in this way could he protect the family's rising honor. Only in this way could he ensure that one day your release might be granted. It feels selfish, it feels unfair, but it is survival. And when you return at last, when you see his tears and feel his reverence, you forgive him. You make peace. After all, that is what your years have taught you, how to make peace with the unbearable. A faint, nearly invisible smile touches your lips, a bitter smile worn smooth by time. There is nothing else you can do anyway. in this world, an unmarried woman returning to society, old and childless, is a contradiction. In feudal China, your very existence is almost an offense to order, regardless if it wasn't your choice. The only way to survive in this is to rely on pity and love of your family. Without it, all that awaits you is just more isolation, shame, and vicious whispers. Wasn't she supposed to die in the emperor's tomb? Why return at all? See, this is what comes of chasing palace splendor. No sun, no youth, no worth. You were warned of these words long ago by your friends who begged you to reconsider returning. Some women like you were given the chance to go home, but many chose to remain in the imperial tomb and continue their devotion. For those without family, the cold stone felt kinder than the world outside. You are already fortunate that your elder brother is an upright, tender man. Seeing his once beloved sister return aged and thin from years of service, as you step forward and gently hold and lift him up from bowing, he clasps your hands tightly and repeats through tears, "You are finally back with us. You are finally back with us." His children, your nieces and nephews, have never seen you before. Yet they greet you without hesitation, rushing forward with genuine smiles, respectful bowing, and unexpected hugs, calling you Auntie. Then while you and the rest of the family elders, trembling in the tears and the joy of the reunion, they arrange tea, fruit, meals, and even see to your chambers with a grace beyond their years. Their warmth fills the silence in you that years have carved away. That night, after the household has finally settled into silence, your brother beckons you into his study. He gently dismisses the servants. You think he may discuss your future living arrangement, yet you are a little confused, because this is a matter a household's mistress will normally be responsible. But instead, he sets about brewing tea himself. He pours the steaming liquid with care and places the cup before you. When your eyes meet, his gaze is heavy with unspoken remorse. "I'm sorry," he says. Just two simple words. He knows that his clever, compassionate little sister, whose mind and kindness carried her through childhood, understands the weight of that apology. Just two words, yet they carry the burden of years and unshed tears. Though you had steeled yourself for calm, the tears overflow uncontrollably, and in that moment you realize, under this household, you'll never have to choke back your tears again. The next morning, your younger sister arrives, breathless with joy. She has rushed from a nearby city upon hearing the news of your arrival. Because you entered the palace when she came to age. She has been spared the annual concubine selection ceremony. Instead, she married into a wealthy, honorable family, a fate arranged by your parents, leveraging the honor and status earned by your sacrifice. She has been prepared for this day for so long, and she did not come empty-handed. She brings you trained servants, caskets brimming with silver, gold, jewelry, and silk. She even acquires a delicate courtyard home nearby. A Seher Yuan, those serene, traditional residences with 4 walls, embracing a central garden, perfumed with tranquility and privacy, perfect for moments when, if you long for solitude, everything was arranged, every detail planned, months in advance of your carriage's arrival. When the family leaves you two alone, she suddenly kneels before you, bowing deeply, as though greeting an imperial consort. You try to lift her, startled, yet she resists, tears streaming. In a whisper that cracks your heart, she says, "My deepest gratitude, sister. You have suffered too much for us." She is determined to give you everything she can, from heartfelt devotion and material comfort to a rest of life in ease and joy, regardless of what path you choose from now on. Remarriage or solitude, children or none, it's yours to decide, and she will stand by your side. Her words shatter you once more. When you left, she was only a girl, running each morning into your arms, pressing kisses on your cheek, begging you to teach her painting, stories, and butterfly chasing in the garden. Now, she stands before you, a grown woman, graceful, elegant, kind. You kneel down too, cradling her head in your arms. For a fleeting moment, returning to that memory of her in your embrace as the little girl again. Both of you weep, and in those tears lies the happiness you thought you'd never feel again. At night, instead of moving to the lovely courtyard your sister has acquired for you, you settled back into the room just beside your parents. They are frail now, their steps slow, their hair white. You resolve to stay for now, to spend their remaining days in yet another devotion, this one of your own choice, to make up for all the lost time. Filial piety, the cornerstone of Chinese virtue, instilled since childhood. Without ancestors, there would be no parents. Without parents, there would be no you. This virtue teaches that caring for elderly parents is not merely duty, it's the axis upon which personal morality and societal harmony turn, though it was partly their choices that led you into the years of hardship. You have long since released resentment, looking at their trembling hands, their tearful eyes. Your heart swells. You are are even more sure of your decision. Rather than holding on, you make peace. You let go. You choose the gratitude. Gratitude that they had raised you into a person with strength. Gratitude that they had raised your siblings into people with upright and kind souls. Gratitude that they are still here and your return is not too late. And most of all, that your family had missed you, loved you, and held you in memory all these years as deeply as you held them. That night, sleepless, you lean at the window. The moon hangs bright and full, the same moon that shone on the night the funeral bell tolled twice, the night he was gone, the night your life changed forever. Your thoughts wander, carried on its light. Hundreds of thousands of women had once entered the forbidden city. Most never left. Some were sacrificed, some imprisoned, some cloistered, some reclaimed, some vanished, erased. A few, and only a few, walked out. All of them called duty, all of them called honor, all of them justified by custom. But beneath it all was one truth: control. Control of your body, your heart, your living, and your death. But not tonight. Tonight, your story is spoken, not by decree, not by edict, but by memory, by a whisper carried through time, by a name nearly erased. Tonight, you are real, you are remembered, and finally, you are heard.